It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Episode 12 of Two Guys and a Goalie, presented to you by Odd Shark. Thank you for joining us once again. Dustin Nielsen, Matt Kassian, and no Joaquin Gage. Gager off to Mexico for a week with his family, or at least that's what he's telling us. So Shawn Belle is back once again. Belle, you're making this a regular thing. We appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. It's been it's always great to be on.
Cash, you mentioned he didn't get the memo about the dress shirts.
Didn't get it.
Yeah, I didn't even know if you know this.
We're high class, Shawn.
Still got a collar.
We're high class.
Don't you see the studio we're working in right now? It's just gorgeous.
You can see we're on the beach.
Well, yeah, we are on the beach today. If you're only listening to the podcast, if you're like a regular podcast listener, and we're getting a few of them. Actually, I was going to try to get to some comments today on the podcast page.
Yeah,
that looks
interesting
good.
ones.
Yeah, I don't know how many accounts Gager can create, but he's on a run right now. But yeah, we've decided to go with the background on our green screen of a beach in Mexico today. And if you actually look on the live stream directly above my head, right there, you'll see Gager's face in the clouds, because I'm assuming that's what it's like down there in Mexico right now. So it's like a little special Easter egg on the live stream today. So that's kind of fun. Before we get started, we've got lots to get to. I think it's a special day today. Belly, you're good friends with Cass. You know what today is?
Is it his birthday today?
It is.
You
his
did not
birthday
know that.
today.
I did know that.
You did not know
Hey,
that.
that's what friends are for, big guy.
Thank you.
Happy
I was
birthday.
actually hoping to skirt through without that, so just so I
Happy
could.
birthday,
Whoa,
Cass.
cupcakes!
I
Look
brought
at this.
cupcakes for you. So there you go. Happy
Thanks,
birthday, buddy.
man.
There's 4 of them. That would be one for each
Is
of us.
this the part
Or
where we-
you can just take all 4. It's your
Take
birthday.
all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you owe me $7.
Thank you, Dusty.
No, you know what? After you said it last week, and I was just like, man, how am I going to find out his birthday? And then somebody tweeted me and was like, just look up his
Just
hockey
look
DB
at. I was
page.
gonna say it's not that complicated. Like
Yes, that's right. His hockey DB page. How old are you?
33.
33. Oh, you're young.
I am young.
Jeez,
you know.
Belly, how old are you?
Retired young.
34.
34. Man, I never feel older than anybody. I'm 38 years old. I'm supposed to be the responsible
You know
one.
what it is? Is just it's because I'm an old body
An old soul.
and an old soul.
Yeah. You have big plans today?
No,
Nothing.
nothing.
Like a dinner, anything special?
No, I
Like,
got some,
anything special today happen outside of the
not
cupcakes?
special. It wouldn't be special. So I'm seeing a couple buddies tonight, but it wasn't planned around like the birthday, and it's not for the purpose of my birthday.
Okay.
But so we're just hanging out with a couple guys.
Do they know it's your birthday?
A few of them might. One of them mentioned something.
Okay.
One of them mentioned something, or a couple of them did. So
You guys going to watch Monday Night Football? Or
no.
what are you doing?
Well, we'll probably watch some of that. I think we're gonna go.
Do you actually want to watch that game?
Yeah,
I
not
think
tonight,
we're gonna
you're
go to an establishment here in the city that has like some a variety of activities. Like we wanted to go bowling at first.
Okay, yeah,
Like, we
yeah.
like doing stuff like that.
What's the name of said establishment?
Is it Ed's? You can probably say it because we
No.
don't have a sponsorship.
Yeah, I didn't know. I guess there's rec room.
Okay,
We're in
yeah.
the rec room.
Hey, by the way, Rec Room, if you're looking to
Yeah, if
sponsor
you're looking to
a sweet
sponsor sweet
podcast.
something. So we'll probably head out there. No, it's a group. I think I've talked about it before. You know, the whole, get some guys together from the
Yeah,
church
okay,
thing.
yeah.
So it's that same group of guys. So it was like planned to do that anyways.
Nice.
So just happened to fall on my
Perfect.
birthday.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I like it. How's your? But you're doing sober October, right? So
Yeah.
you can't even have a drink on your birthday.
I won't
Does
even
that
have a
rattle
drink.
you or
No.
what? No.
No, like it hasn't been. It's not like this is a huge, massive challenge for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of having like 3 drinks in the month, you're just having none.
Yeah. Well, it was more. Even for me, it was part is like you'd have like a beer with dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
you'd have like one. But it's like then you do that 3 or 4 times a week, and then maybe 2 in the weekend, whatever the case may be. And I was like, you know what? I'll do the whole sober October thing the entire month, and it's good. And then you know what? Here's the ticket. Is my grandfather-in-law, so my wife's grandpa. He heard that I was doing it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to do that for November." And then I was like, "Well, I can't really let you do it by yourself now that you said
do
that,
2
so I'm going
months?
to do 2 months in a row."
God,
I'm
what a
gonna do
committed
November
guy.
too.
What a committed guy. That's great.
It's tough because I really like craft beer, but it's okay. I'll survive. It hasn't been that hard.
All right, so I guess I won't give you this 2.6 of spice rum that I brought for you as well on your birthday.
Well, you could. It just won't get touched.
Oh, well, happy birthday, buddy! You'll always remember on your 33rd
Yeah.
birthday you did a podcast
And I'm
with us.
not sharing with anybody.
Well, at least give Hernan one. The poor guy sits in the corner the entire time. That's tough. You got to give him
Hernan,
one.
are you a cupcake guy?
Sure. I mean, I'm not a big sweets guy these days.
Okay.
Or I think he thought you were asking him if he wanted one. See how he was like,
No,
sure?
well, I needed to find out first if
Ah.
you
I'll
like
take one
them.
now. I'm kind of hungry.
The guy's starving over there. All right, so Gager's in Mexico doing the all-inclusive thing. Have you guys done that? Have you gone on the Mexican all-inclusive? It's good, right? I've only done one, but it was awesome.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
It's your
We're
birthday.
friends now. You
It's
go
your
ahead.
birthday.
It's your birthday.
No, you know what? My birthday wish is that you
Age
feel like
before beauty.
I have to think that one through.
Yeah, I know you did. Yes, I've gone.
Where'd you go?
I've done the Puerto Vallarta,
Okay.
and I've also done where was I? Cancun this year. Yeah.
This year?
Yep, Cancun.
Nice.
Remember that couple segments ago or a couple podcasts
Yeah.
ago where we had that wedding discussion?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where it was.
Yeah.
Oh, you got married down in Cancun.
That's where that's
Yeah.
where I got
And there's this great picture of him, and he's got like
my peach fuzz out.
peach fuzz out. He's got the extra button undone on his shirt.
It
Living
was
the
like
life.
44 degrees, and I'm like, I gotta
So you went extra button undone during
Yeah.
the wedding?
just for the engagement.
Oh, just
No,
for
like
after.
when
Okay.
when he was
Oh,
proposing.
just for the
One of
photos.
the
Okay,
photos
well
I
that's
decided to
that's
pull it
nice.
off.
Oh,
But it was
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, it was fun. And what's your favorite part about that? Is it like the booze, the food, just the relaxing, not have to worry about it?
Like I've done a couple different.
Yeah.
So this last one here, we were way more relaxation, so we didn't leave the pool.
Oh,
We
just
had
took
the
it
booze.
easy.
We took it very easy, and as fun as that is, like you kind of get bored after a while. So I kind of like to have a mix of the
Good mix.
all-inclusive and then go on to a few excursions.
Yeah.
I think that's just a better.
We took down 30 guys one year, or 30 listeners for a golf
Oh, yeah.
trip down.
I remember that.
And it was great because we golfed 2 days. Some guys golfed 3 days. So it's a nice way to break it up. And then a couple of excursions, went into Cancun for a bit. It was good. I like to have some other
Yeah,
stuff planned as opposed to just sitting around on the beach for
and just
7
melting
days.
in the sun.
So if you're watching the live stream, you'll notice Kassian handed out the cupcakes. Cass, thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you. You know,
this is great.
my birthday wish to share.
I just I decided on the way down that I really wanted cupcakes today, and we had a reason. I was going to bring a cheesecake just because I love cheesecake, but I thought that's not fair, and I didn't want to have to get forks or anything. So that's great. Thanks, Cass. All right, let's start. We're going to get to Jamie Thomas from Jets TV. He was in Regina for the Heritage Classic between the Calgary Flames and the Winnipeg Jets. We're going to hit on that. We're going to get to keep it or clip it today. We'll have a Popeye's chicken poll question, which I think is a hard one to answer right now. So we'll get into that, and obviously we'll talk about some issues and some other stories around the National Hockey League. And like I said, we'll get to the Heritage Classic with our guest a little bit later on. But just overall, that game, I mean, I saw on like Wednesday or Thursday, some of the preparation beginning, and that was the first time that I'd even noticed that game was happening. Like I knew it was happening at some point in Regina, but I had no idea that it was happening last weekend. And I don't know if that's the league who's not marketing as much or if I really just don't give a damn about him anymore. But I think that's probably the reason. I was just like, who cares? Like I'm probably not going to care about it much at all.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about with it. Like I know for the players, it's still a cool experience. And for the league, if they sell out or get close to sell out, I mean, you have 20,000 or, 25 or 30 or 40,000 people at a game, you're making way more money on tickets. So I understand from a business side why they would do it, but does it have the same luster as it did? Like I remember that very first Heritage Classic with Edmonton. I was playing junior in Vancouver, and I remember in the dressing room, like we had a game that day, and we had that on the TV, like in the players' lounge, running right up till as late as we really could, till we were allowed to have it on, and just the spectacle of it and how cool it was and how just amazing it was. And it really feels like it's so not over, maybe overdone is the right word. Like where it's like you got the Stadium Series and you have a Heritage Classic and then you have like 8 other ones
Winter
every single year.
Classic and-
Winter Classic. And it's just like, what if they cut it down to just one a year, period? One around the league. You had to apply for it like the All-Star game or something like that. Do you guys think that would make it a better event? Or like you'd pay more attention to it?
Not anymore, I don't think. I still don't think I'd be like, wow, I got to get some buddies over and watch I went to the first one here in Edmonton. I had a buddy who took the bus up from Cranbrook, got tickets from somebody, and tickets were almost tough to get. And I didn't have a lot of money back then. I was working like Save On Foods. So a girl that I went to school with had tickets because she worked at the university. So it was a major, major, major deal. And then I remember, what was it, Buffalo, Pittsburgh? It was snowing. That was like 2 or 3 years later. It was great. Sidney Crosby was playing. But now, I mean, even if they just did one a year, I'm sure for the experience itself and for the National Hockey League, it'd be good. But Belle, I mean, would it change your interest level in it all if it only happened once?
I think you'd care a little bit more if there's only one. Because right now it just seems like, every month there's another one that pops up, and, the NHL is doing a good job of almost marketing the Stadium Series more. Like they're pushing the American teams a little bit more, it seems like. Up here in Canada, like I had zero idea that it was even happening until I actually saw Oliver Shillington's Facebook page.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I knew it was going on. I'm like, oh, okay, like, sure. But, you know, first of all, is this the earliest one that they've had?
This is pretty early. I'm not sure if they have. Well, yeah, it's only October. I don't know if they've had one earlier.
It's Saskatchewan.
Yeah, you can get it done. You can do it in late October there. Yeah.
But I mean, regardless of the situation, whether, you know, I think if you can go down to one, they're going to drum up way more interest, and then most of those stadiums are going to be sold out. Because is everyone sold out? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They might be. I mean, it's a pretty big event for the city. Not even the city, but for the fan base. You know, if you go Philly or Boston or wherever, I think it's good there. But around the league, I don't know if they even care anymore. I don't know if they care that we don't care.
It doesn't matter because if they're selling tickets,
that's
they're
all
selling.
they need, right? Yeah.
Like I said, you get a local fan base a little more engaged, and you sell 30,000 or 40,000 or 50,000 tickets instead of 20,000.
You take that for a game, yeah.
You take that for a game.
But I mean, what's the point of having an outdoor game? The Winter Classic, like.
Just to make money.
A couple of years ago, they had Anaheim versus LA. And it was
that's a good point.
Sun,
yeah,
right?
they did.
Like,
they had that one down in California.
I think it's just the experience as a whole, right? Because you go, it's so many football stadiums, or there are some football stadiums that are still outside, baseball outside, like where they're not all in domes, or you have the roof open, or whatever the case may be. And people like going to that, and it's a different experience, and you're not like typical in the NHL building every single time. So it's something different, and people want something different. You know, let's say you're a season ticket holder for 10 years. That's a lot of days of sitting in the same stadium, same building, and the chance to go to in your own city without having to travel to go see something that's a little different and a little unique. That's I think what the drive is.
I'll agree with you on that one because I played in the Winter Classic in the DL. And it was us versus Cologne. So it was
okay. I was wondering if you'd played in one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big rivalry game. But so the stadium that we were in, massive stadium, and they had to actually close the roof. So it was basically like we were just playing indoors because I think it ended up raining that day.
Oh, so they just closed the roof. So you just played in a huge stadium with the roof closed.
Huge stadium, and you had to walk out. Like the whole spectacle of it was awesome. We had a great time with it, but like you almost wish it was outside. You know, like you wish it was outside. You had the elements. Like I don't want it to be -30.
No, we want a little bit of snow,
right? A little bit of snow, and you can really partake in that atmosphere.
Yeah, like the lead up to it, being out there, you know, in Regina throwing a football around, unless you're Mason Appleton who got hurt throwing a football around. Like overall, does a player really want to be a part of that, or like?
I think so.
I think they said yesterday. I think they said the ice in Regina was some of the best they've skated on in the league this year.
Yeah,
which is crazy, but yeah.
Well, it's because it's Regina, so it's cold.
Any outdoor ice is going to be great ice.
But
yeah, you think there's no, like, is there a downside to the players at all, do you think?
Well, I think if you've done a whole bunch of them, you may be tired of the spectacle.
So if you're Philly or like Chicago or something?
Like for me, I always got healthy scratched. Like I didn't actually get to play in them. I got to practice usually on the ice.
That's good.
Didn't ever get to play. I think, watched a couple from the dressing room.
So yeah, I was going to say, where do you sit for them?
In the dressing room.
Oh, just in the room?
Just in the room, watching on the TV. Then you go and hide when everyone comes back in for the intermission. You have to find. You actually got to get a little creative in that. It's like, well, do I go in the hallway? Like, do I try to go around the corner? I don't want the coaches walking by to see me. Like, I don't want to deal with like whatever. Like, so it's like you hide. Yeah, and the best was
scratches are never involved in the room at all. Like when you're gone,
not in intermission. No. Like not in between periods. No, it's out of sight, out of mind at that point.
Yeah.
In some of the rinks, because I got healthy scratched a lot.
What was the best rink to be healthy
scratched? The best or the worst? I was going to go worst was like the old Joe.
Okay.
Was the worst because there's no rest, like no good TV in the room. There was no other place. There was no room ever in the press box. Like the press box at the Joe was so small, like there's no seats, so you didn't have anywhere to sit. They usually sold out or had a lot of seats gone, so you just would, you couldn't go sit in the stands and you aren't going to walk around. And so when the team is coming in their intermission, what we would do, because the only TV was in the actual dressing room that you could watch on, is we had to go in the change room, which is attached to the dressing room. So it's like there's a door in between you and like the coach will be standing there, like when he's giving, like in front of the door when he's like talking to the players in the intermission.
Yeah.
And you're hiding with the lights off in the change, like where everyone like takes their suits off, like just hiding there, like just sitting quietly, just waiting until everyone goes out. And so just like hoping you don't have to like sneeze or something. That was the worst one.
What about the best one?
Montreal was pretty good.
Yeah.
I usually didn't get scratched there, though. But, I mean, the hot dogs.
Yeah. Well, I just experienced that. I was at that game on Saturday night in the intermission. I was sitting with John Liu from TSN. And I kind of just, when I got there, I got my press pass. I went upstairs, found my seat, and I just kind of sat down. I didn't explore it. First intermission comes, he goes, all right, Come on.
It's time.
Follow him down into the media lounge. He goes, there's the hot dogs. You just tell them how many you want. And then they just put them on a plate for you. And I was like, wait a second, how many I want? So I went up. It was like the Soup Nazi episode in Seinfeld. I was like, 1 hot dog, please. And they pass it to you and you move down the line. But yeah, good hot dog.
Yeah.
I will say this about, because they also do it. I called the Alouettes game earlier in the day and they do hot dogs there as well. Same type of thing in bread. And I like a hot dog and a slice of bread.
Well, they
rolled around.
toast it.
Yeah, they toast it. Well, not in the football game.
No, they didn't.
I don't know if they don't have toasters at McGill Stadium or whatever, Percival Molson Stadium. But yeah, it was just a piece of white bread wrapped around a hot dog.
Nice.
And I was here for it. Like, I like that style. I think people should do that out west a little bit more, to be honest with you. Yeah, but those hot dogs in Montreal or something. Bill, you've had those hot dogs.
Yeah,
eh?
they're unbelievable.
They're good.
Yeah.
They're not very big, but they're delicious.
That's why you asked.
That's why they ask you.
Dusty, how about the U of A hot dogs?
Actually, you know what? Claire Drake Arena, their hamburgers are awful, but the hot dogs are really good. Yeah.
It's tough to mess up a hot dog.
Oh, I think
No,
you
it's
can mess
not.
it up.
I think you can mess it
Yeah,
up
I
pretty
think you can mess it up pretty good.
Well, where's the worst one you've had?
Oh boy, from an arena perspective, or just
Arena.
trying to think. You know, Fort McMurray up in Fort Mac when I was doing games up there. First time I had a hot dog up there, I knew I'd never have another one. I mean, is that a good sign?
Yeah,
But you know what? I feel like most of these junior arenas, which is where I've called games so far, they can either do one or the other good. There's either a good hamburger there, like Bonnyville. Bonnyville had amazing hamburgers. Drayton Valley, amazing hamburgers.
You know what they're actually really good at? Is fries and gravy.
Fries and
Some of
gravy,
those
you're
old-
right.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
just unbelievable.
No, the junior rinks for
Yeah.
fries and gravy too. Yeah, that's good. Do you have a bad hot dog, Cass, or is it your worst hot dog?
I mean, worst hot dog would have been not in a rink, but because usually I tried to avoid the rink hot dogs
Yeah.
because gross.
well, and you're a professional athlete,
Yeah,
so
would have been like a 7-Eleven. Like you've probably been sitting there for like 8 hours
Oh,
or like
gross.
12 hours or like 2 days, and then you're just like, but there's no other food, and you're like, I need something that's not like chips and salt. So
yeah, that's not good.
I've had a bad one on a long road
If
trip.
you guys haven't at the Drake, have you been to a U of A game? Go there and have a hot dog. They're good. They're really good. It's solid. Okay, yeah, we lost track.
Well, we can just keep talking about your trip to Montreal.
We can. Well, just the Bell Center in general. Man, is that a great? What's it like to play there? Like
That's always my favorite
is it?
spot.
Yeah. But now I don't know if you guys noticed it. Well, I mean, would have been up in the press box too, I guess. But it just seems like they're right on top of everything. And then, like compared to, well, for example, Rogers Place here in Edmonton, it's so wide open. The atmosphere there, it was Montreal, Toronto on a Saturday night. It was going to be great either way. But I sat down and that's the first thing I noticed. I was like, wow, everybody's right on top of the players. Do you love that, or does
It's the best.
Yeah, it's the
I think
best,
it's
yeah.
awesome. Like the pitch to the or angle of the seats is just a little bit steeper.
Yeah.
It seems like so they do feel like they're more on top of you. They're loud. They're knowledgeable. So it's like they understand what to cheer for and what not to cheer for. But that doesn't. You know, sometimes I know really educated hockey fans can be really quiet hockey fans. And sometimes it's the ones that don't really know what to cheer for, not to cheer for, that are more fun because they cheer for everything and they're just more noisy and they're, not like polite hockey fans. But in Montreal, that doesn't really hold true. Like even though they know their hockey, they are very passionate and they're noisy about it. And that just makes it so much more fun to play in front of. Like it was fun. And playing for the Ottawa Senators, where you're a rival to them, where you're 2 hours down the road or 2.5 down the road, down the train tracks. I mean, we rode the train. They hate you even more, which is perfect. It was fun.
Cool barn, man.
I
Yeah.
love that place.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. No, it's favorite place to play. Then like
Oh, for me, by
yeah.
far.
What
Yeah.
about you,
That
Bill?
was my favorite place as well. So like that was my first home opener ever.
Copycat.
And,
Seriously?
Yeah, it was unreal.
Your first ever home opener
Yeah.
was Bell Center?
Yeah,
That'd be
it was
pretty
Bell
good.
Center. And
Who
we
were they playing?
Who did we play? We played Colorado.
Okay.
And we had to introduce ourselves in French. So everybody had the mic, they passed it down, you'd say what you said in French, and then Markov, who wasn't playing, was standing on the bench, and then he throws out Nous sommes des Canadiens, and the building just went bananas and just chills. Like it still gives me goosebumps to this day. It was
Really?
one of the coolest experiences ever.
That is awesome. Just quickly, I want to stay with that game for a second because I was watching, and I watched quite a few Montreal Canadian games and catch the Leafs because, well, we have a lot of opportunity to watch the Leafs. And they were on the second half of back-to-back. They played San Jose the night before and had won. They didn't have John Tavares in this game, but I watched them come out, and the Canadians were all over them. And the Canadians don't have the Matthews or the Martyrs, but like Domi's a guy who can grind you. They've got a few guys like that. Paul Byron's a guy who can get right in on top of you. And I think the rest of the team fed off of that energy. And the Leafs just didn't really want anything to do with it. And then Jeff Petrie, who Washington plays, pretty steady defenseman. Like, still, at this stage of his career, he looks pretty good. Anyway, he blows up Barry at the blue line. Not a massive hit, but a pretty good hit in today's National Hockey League. And he turns around, and he starts skating back, and then he looks over his shoulder to see if anybody's coming. And Austin Matthews was making that direction. He was heading towards him, and I'm sitting in the press box. I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, they're going to go after Jeff Petrie. And Matthews went right at him and then kind of swooped around him and headed back up the ice. Maybe he chirped him, but there was no elbow, there was no stick, there was no grab your shirt and kind of give you a little pop. And then everybody rushes in, and you don't have to drop your gloves anyway. And after Matthews had been blown up by Dylan earlier in the week, and nothing happened, I just watched that Leafs team, man. I just think they're missing something. Like, they're just, I don't, it sounds weird, being a Western guy and having this perspective on it, but I don't know if they want to play for each other right now. Like, it just seemed, and they only have 6 wins in their first 13 games, which is way fewer than a lot of people, especially in Toronto, expected. But I just see that moment, and maybe I'm reading too into it, and maybe it's too old school, Cass, but if I was a Leafs fan or even a player on that team, I might be a little concerned.
Do you guys think there's too much ego on that team?
I don't know. Is that tough to tell from afar?
I think it is.
Okay,
I think it's hard to not tell. I mean, in the dressing room, but just even from an observational standpoint, do you think that could be an issue?
It could be. I mean, but that team, like those young guys, seem like they're pretty together. No.
Yeah, Marner and Matthews obviously have that tight relationship with Marlowe. So but I don't know.
A little bit.
Yeah, Although he came back last year after being out for a while, I wonder if that kind of put a little bit of a rift in things. They brought in a few guys from Russia who they're trying to sort of work into the group right now as well. Tyson Berry's new, Muzzin's new. So maybe they're just not gelling yet. Maybe they haven't had that moment where they've really come together as a group of guys. But for a team that has as high as aspirations as they do, and look, Austin Matthews doesn't have to fight Jeff Petrie.
No.
But he was the guy who went right past him and didn't do a thing. And if you're somebody else on that team and you're looking at him and he's supposed to, he was one of the guys who was in the short list for your captaincy, that just wouldn't sit well with me. Would it sit like, how would that sit well with you? Like, being on that bench, like,
I wouldn't like it. No, give him.
So what does he need to do in that situation?
Turn check.
Yeah. Well, doesn't even have to be that. Like, turn your head and say something in a derogatory or negative connotation. Or not connotation. I'm trying to use big words. Yeah. That didn't work.
Hey, just say a swear word.
Just cuss the guy out or do something. Just say something. Let people see. Let people visibly see. Let your teammates visibly see that you're doing something about it. That it wasn't just like not noticed. You don't need to fight the guy. You don't like cross-checker / sure, great. But you could argue though, well, you don't want to take a penalty. Sure, fine. If you want to make that argument, fine. Yeah, you don't need to cross-check or slash the guy, but at least turn to him or say something, or like bump him with an elbow. Like just what's the Hanson brothers, like, bleed on him, let him know you're there. Like, just let him know that you're there, that you saw it and you did not appreciate it. Your teammates see that, the fans see it, and it's not a good look.
You got to show you care, right?
Just a bad response.
Yeah,
you want some form of response, and like I said, cross-check him or slash him, and you don't want to take that penalty, but at the same time, like, you got to know who it was. Like, it was Petrie. I'm sorry, like, I love Petrie, but like, it's Petrie. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen?
He's not going to hurt you.
Like, he's not going to hurt you. Like, Matthews, you're probably just as strong as him, and if he decides to grab you, then hold on.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, there's going to be a scrum.
There's going to be a scrum. That's
it's not like it's Zach Kassian that just blew someone up. It's like, well, Austin, is that worth going after that guy?
If you grab Jeff Petrie, just grab him. Everybody's going to come rushing over. They're going to blow the whistle. Maybe you guys both get coincidentals. Maybe they just step in, blow the whistle, sort everything out. But you know what the story is? Austin Matthews stands up for teammate. Leafs start to come together. Like, it's that simple. Yeah. And instead, he has like one of the all-time worst flybys, and he just kind of leaves you wondering, and it wouldn't be an issue if they'd won 10 of their first 12.
Yeah.
But they've won 6 of 13 or whatever. And that just kind of adds on to all of it.
Yeah, and we wouldn't even be talking about this if I bet we wouldn't even be talking about it if he would have like kind of bumped them.
No, that's true. You're right. You're right. You know why? Because that's what most people do. Yeah. That's what most teams do in that situation. So that was kind of weird to me. We're gonna have Jamie Thomas come on in a couple of minutes. We're gonna track him down. That was one thing that I wanted to get on. So can that change? Let me just quickly wrap up that. Like, can you change the way that feels later on in the season, or do you have to worry about that kind of getting embedded into nobody stood up for Matthews and Matthews passed up an opportunity to stand up for Barry? Like, can you still change that, or is this something that starts to unravel even more, do you think?
Well, it actually takes you back to the Oilers from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
With the younger guys in the
with all
Hall and
younger
Everly and those guys.
And, you know, you don't expect those guys to do it all the time, but somebody's got to just do something. I don't need you to fight. I don't need you to, you know, bury a guy from behind. But, like, if you can grab a guy and you can show that you're willing to stand up for your teammate, then everybody comes together. And then, you know, you're telling other guys, okay, well, you know, you got to do it too. If Matthews is willing to do it, or Marner or Nylander or whoever it is just willing to give that slight response, then that's saying to your entire team, okay, we don't want to take that. Let's be together as a team. And what do we always talk about? Team toughness, right? Like, that's still, these are your skill guys, and now they're stepping up to the plate.
I mean, I got an easy way to fix that, but it's not going to happen in the modern NHL.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like you want to talk about galvanizing moments, whereas a team, you go to war. Like, and that's, you want to solve that and you want to pull it together. You got to go to war together because you go through like some major either adversity or a challenge, and you pull together as a team. That's what overcomes those type of challenges. So for me, it's like, well, I just try to start a line brawl. Right? Like, you have a line brawl with 5 guys, like all 5 guys engaged, 5 guys fighting. Everyone gets kicked out, like, because something happened like that. You want to overcome that. That overcomes that.
You're in the room after.
You're in the room after.
Up.
Everyone's fired up. The guys coming off the bench, they're fired up. Yeah, you know what? Coaches may be upset. That your GM may be upset that, well, you shouldn't be fighting, and you maybe get tossed out, and maybe a guy gets suspended for a game. Right? But even that, it's just like, well, we just operated with a big screw everybody else. We're going to stick up for ourselves. Like, you're not going to push us around. We're going to throw down, and we're going to do it together as a team. That overcomes that type of stuff, but probably not going to happen in the modern NHL.
You know what? Somebody tweeted me about this, or I saw on Twitter, and I think I kind of agree that somebody texted in and said, they're never going to beat the Bruins.
No,
like,
never.
Do you just look at like the Boston Bruins? What you just talked about?
Oh, you think they do that? The
Boston Bruins will look after that.
You say you would if you're going to look at one of those two teams and say which one would you think if someone got hit from behind?
Yeah.
Or let's not even say that. Let's take it one step further. Let's say they're out at a restaurant as a team, and someone takes a sucker punch as one of the guys. Which team do you think is going to be the first group in between the Bruins or the Maple Leafs?
Bruins. It's an automatic.
Without question.
Yeah, and part of that for the Leafs, you got to get over that, right? Like, you need
have
that to get to that next level. You really do.
It's a Wolfpack mentality, man. And you know what? The teams...
It's a shame because they're really talented.
Yeah, the teams that win, I honestly... one of the things I believe are the teams that win are the teams that believe in the team the most. Mm-hmm. They believe in the coach's system. They believe in one another. They trust each other. They trust the system. They trust the goalies, who trust the defense, who trust the forwards. And everyone is on the same page about winning the same way and doing the same thing. And the stragglers are the outliers, and they get sucked in because everyone else is with that mentality. Teams that don't have that over the long term, they do not win.
They fall apart.
They fall apart.
Yeah. All right, let's go to that was a good discussion. Let's go to Jamie Thomas, Jets TV. He's joining us. He was covering the Heritage Classic. JT, appreciate the time, buddy. How are you?
Great. It's actually the 2019 Tim Hortons NHL Heritage Classic, Dusty.
You're such a shill for the sponsors, eh? Every single time. You always have been. That's so sad.
They gave me a free mug, Dusty. They gave me a free coffee cup.
Jamie Thomas is with us, Dustin Nielsen, Shawn Belle, and Matt Kassian here as well. JT, we were just talking about it, and we didn't really have a lot of interest in the outdoor game because we do see a lot of outdoor games. But for a guy who works for a team and covers a team who was a part of it, what was the experience like?
I was like you guys with the All-Star game and now the outdoor game. I haven't been to an outdoor game before, so I think it changes your perspective when you're actually a part of it. Because the one in 2002, I was working at HL in Edmonton. We were on strike, so I didn't get to go to that one. So I was close to that one. But being there and, like, I stood on the bench during the Jets practice on Friday, and it's a great experience. And I know everybody's love for Regina in Edmonton kind of makes it tough, and the same thing with the people of Winnipeg. But I think it's a really cool experience. And then the snow coming down on Saturday was perfect. I know it made it tough conditions on the ice in the second period, but overall I thought it was a great show put on by the city, and the sight lines were fantastic. And I'm now a fan of them. So, of course, the Jets winning in overtime and coming back kind of helps a little bit too. But I'm a big fan, and I think anybody that is experienced and is there it kind of changes your perspective on the whole thing.
I can't believe that you didn't just become a scab and cross the line to cover the Heritage Classic back in 03. Jeez, buddy. Like, what type of commitment do you have to covering the team?
You know what? I just didn't want scab on my resume. I thought about it. Just didn't look good.
That sticks with you for a while. It definitely does. I watched the third period, and I definitely wanted to watch overtime because I am intrigued by the overtime, especially on the outdoor ice. What was the game like overall from that perspective for the players dealing with some of the conditions?
Yeah, they said the second period was really tough. And going back to Friday when it was like 14 out, they said the ice was really bumpy and they had concerns. But the third period and overtime, when it wasn't snowing, they said that's some of the best ice they've ever been on. But, I mean, clearly when it's between -5 and -10, the ice is going to be really good. So I thought they loved it. They were happy about it. Even the Flames, who lost the game, most of the players and the coach said the ice conditions were great. So, and for Winnipeg, who outshot Calgary 19-4 from the start of the third period through overtime on, you could really tell that the game worked in their favor.
Jamie Thomas with us from Jets. We lost you there for a second, JT.
Okay, sorry, you got me.
No, yeah, we're trying to get you back. I think we'll try one more question and we'll see how it goes. Just the Winnipeg Jets in general, like they've gotten off to a pretty decent start considering the worries that everybody seemed to have about the blue line, including us here on the Two Guys and a Goalie podcast. So, do you think they're pretty pleased with where they're at right now?
Yeah, I think they have to be. I mean, you're talking about the blue line too, but also like with their penalty kill sitting under 70% right now, which was close to the Edmonton Oilers of last year. There are concerns. There's massive changeover. Brandon Tanev was such a huge part of their penalty kill with his speed and the ability to close on players and closing his gaps and blocking shots like there's no tomorrow. So they have like around 3 units. There's 5 different guys killing penalties for the hockey club this year. So they're turning the corner a little bit in that department. And on top of that, Connor Hellebuck is back in his form, right? He looks exactly like the guy that was a finalist for the Vezina Trophy in 2017-18. He's the key here while they're trying to figure things out in the back end. And how can they not be struggling a little bit with all those new faces back there? So they're really happy with Neil Pionk. I think he was severely underestimated when the trade was made for Jacob Trouba. There was a lot of people very upset. And, of course, Ville Heinola was the 20th overall draft pick in the NHL draft this year. So he's surprised. They got to make a decision on him. He hasn't played his 9th game in the NHL yet, and then they got to make the tough decision, but they can send him to Manitoba or back to Finland. I get the sense they probably – no one's told me this. I get thinking about this. I think he'll be going back to either Finland or playing the American Hockey League, just still working his way through it. Shawn Belle knows anything is tough to play at a young age in the National Hockey League on the blue line. And he's had his moments, but overall it's starting to get better. Josh Morrissey has really been Josh Morrissey. They got Nathan Beaulieu's getting closer to returning. So eventually I think it's going to get better, but it's still going to be tough for them throughout this year. And 6-6, I think they have to be pretty pleased with where they're sitting at right now in the Western Conference.
Jamie Thomas with Jets TV on our podcast today. Jamie, with all that being said, do you see the Winnipeg Jets looking to make any kind of changes in the next, let's say, month to month and a half?
Say that again. You kind of cut out. I apologize. Bad cell system here in Winnipeg.
Yeah, terrible, horrible, horrible cell system. No, I'm curious because we hear, we get some of the trade rumor wagon here in Edmonton, and I would think even more so right now in Winnipeg. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on if there is or you feel there is going to be any actual movement on that blue line in Winnipeg in the next month or month and a half.
Well, when Beaulieu comes back, they have a lot of guys, right? They pick up Lucas Spiza off waivers from the Anaheim Ducks. I don't think he's coming here just to sit around, right? So does Anthony Potato gets put on waivers with the idea of putting him back or putting him in the American Hockey League? So if anything, they'll try and get some. They're going to have to deal somebody out or put somebody in the waiver wire. I don't think they're going to be trading for anybody. They still have to decide. Well, Dustin Byfuglien has to make a decision. He's the wild card here. Whether or not he's retiring or if he's coming back. So until that decision is made, I don't think they can, right? It's just not pertinent at that point. And it's not like he's holding them hostage. But if he comes back, then they've got a whole mess of situation with the salary cap. So until Dustin Byfuglien's situation is cleared up, I don't think the Jets can really do anything at this point to make a move to get some help on the back end. They're hoping that Nathan Beaulieu will help level things off a little bit. He's not going to play in the power play, but he'll help them on the back end. So again, until 33 makes his decision or the Jets make that decision, there won't be any trades going on for the blue line.
You got a timeline on that decision? Like, does anybody know if anything's going to move on Byfuglien?
No, like that's the one. That's clearly the most common question for everybody because it's put them in such a tough spot. If he makes that decision before, right around July, Tyler Myers or Ben Sherrod are still Winnipeg Jets or both. But I just think they're making. Paul Maurice said on Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday that the most important thing is his well-being, right? So if he doesn't want to play, they got to give him that space to allow him that opportunity to make that decision. And as tough as it is, I don't know what it is, but there's no, like, Stephen Cheveldayoff has been as secretive about this as anything, and he keeps saying status quo. So I don't know, man. I hope he's got some decision made by Christmas or before Christmas because it's put him in a real tough spot in a very competitive division and in a very competitive conference.
JT, buddy, appreciate the time. Before I let you go, did you buy any swag from the Heritage Classic? Did you get a T-shirt? Did you get a hoodie? What'd you get?
I was going to get an Experience Regina T-shirt, but I didn't get around to it. I feel bad saying this, but we got a bag full of swag from the team.
Cool. That sounds nice. That sounds really nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So just look at my Twitter page. I might be selling it off later.
I was going to say, you're going to move that for sure. All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Talk to you soon.
There you go. That's Jamie Thomas showing some Shawn Belle knowledge there. Hey,
Yeah,
if there's
yeah.
one thing Shawn Belle knows it's about playing in the league. Is it young? How old were you when you broke it?
21.
21?
Yep.
Just a baby.
I was going to
Just a
say.
youngster.
And what was the biggest thing that you had to learn? What was like the one thing that you're like, wow, I got to work on
How to
this?
skate fast.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much.
that was your problem, Belzy. You
Yeah, that
skated
was-
really
yeah.
slow.
Too slow for my own good. No, I had Lemaire and Mario Tremblay in Minnesota.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
So,
those guys.
you want to talk about being on the defensive side all the time? Because when I broke in, I was an offensive defenseman. And then with those guys, it was like, no, you need
They
to
sucked the life out of
stay
you.
back.
Yeah. Do you think Belzy, like now, I mean, you look at the league now where it's like offensive defensemen are highly touted, where it wasn't before. I mean, even those two guys, they tried to turn Brent Burns into a forward.
Yep.
Right? Like that, those are first Jacques Lemaire and Tremblay. Those are the two guys that did it. And he should never have been a forward. And like, do you feel you would have had more success from a career standpoint in the modern, like the now versus like 15 years ago?
Without question. I mean, my first, let's call it 3 years, like I had Mario Tremblay and Jacques Lemaire, obviously, and then Kevin Coates down in the minors. And like between those three guys, like they don't want skill.
There was no room for
There was
an
no
offense.
offense.
There was
No
room for
offense.
Like, so why would you, like you said, like why would you put Brent Burns as a forward? He was drafted as a defenseman, I'm pretty sure. And he was doing great things on the defensive side. And I know that he played in the minors at 19 because there was a lockout. And then, as a defenseman. So now all of a sudden you're going to move him to forward. Like they're just playing so many games there. So I think if, looking back, if we're maybe even like 3 years after, I think I would have had probably a better, longer career.
Yeah.
Yeah, different spot,
Yeah.
different way the game's played for sure. These cupcakes were delicious, by the way.
They were. Thank
Hey,
you again for
happy
them.
birthday, Cass.
Thank you, buddy.
And thanks for sharing. Hernan, did you enjoy your cupcake?
It was delicious.
Yeah, it was
And Doug says, happy birthday, Matt, on Facebook.
Oh, thanks, Doug.
That's so nice.
I think I know that, Doug.
I
too.
got.
I do. Hey, Doug.
I got cupcake mess all over the table. I'm not a very clean eater.
I have it all
it's
over the
not good.
paper.
Two guys and a goalie presented by Oddshark. Check them out at oddshark.com. Let's get to our Popeyes chicken poll question. Try Popeyes legendary Louisiana chicken today. Spicy and bold. I think this question is a difficult one to answer, so I want your thoughts on it. Who do you think is the best Canadian team this season? And nothing against Ottawa.
Who will finish or be,
Well,
or
who do you
who
think's
is
the best
current?
team? Who do you think's the best
Currently?
team? Like, well, not currently,
Okay.
but like, who do you think will be the best team? Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg,
I
Montreal,
mean,
Toronto.
to me, it's between two teams.
Okay.
To me, when I look at this, it's between Calgary and Toronto.
Okay.
And
so that's kind of what we thought at the beginning.
At the beginning of the season, my opinion hasn't changed, and so the question then becomes: Toronto should be a better team. Do I think they will be a better team based on what I've seen through the first chunk of games in the season? I don't know. In Calgary, I know they haven't had as much success as they'd like, but they got such a good defensive core. I think over time they're gonna be fine. As much as that always pains me to say it, being an Edmonton kid. So I'm gonna go Calgary. I think Calgary is the best Canadian team. Toronto could be, should be, are not, and unless they figure their stuff out, they will not be.
I agree with everything you said about Toronto, but I'm going to go with Winnipeg.
Okay.
Okay.
Listen, if they can iron out their defensive woes, then I think they're going to go places because they have so much talent up front on offense, right? Like, I don't need the defenseman to try to rush the puck end to end. All I need them to do. Wait a second. We just talked about this, but make sure that those guys are in their comfort zone and just get it up to the forwards and let those forwards be dynamic like they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Hernan, where'd you answer this question?
Yeah, I agree a lot with what Matt said, but I'm gonna say right now and today, for me, the best Canadian team, I gotta go Vancouver.
Canucks do look a lot better than I thought they would.
They're
JT Miller's got 11 points in 11 games.
Well-rounded.
That was a good pickup.
Yeah, it's worked out well. He's getting a lot more opportunity, and he's making the most of it. I did want to get your guys' thoughts on the Oilers' lack of bottom six scoring, and because I think it's even a bigger issue than that. And then we'll play Keep It or Clip It a little bit later on here in the Two Guys and a Goalie podcast presented by Oddshark. 5-on-5 scoring so far this year, and we're almost at the end of October. The Oilers have 4 forwards who've scored a 5-on-5 goal. McDavid, Draisaitl, Kassian's got 3. Most of those came earlier in the year. And James Neal has 3. Nuge has not even scored yet 5-on-5 this year. And he hasn't assisted on one of Neal's 5-on-5 goals. So those guys have not combined for a 5-on-5 goal. That's your second line, not to mention that you've literally got nothing from your bottom 6. Yet here they are. They're top spot in the division right now. Draisaitl and McDavid are ridiculous, and they've got pretty steady goaltending. But at what point, and maybe we're already there, we're going to discuss it, but Cass, let's start with you. What gives? Something has to happen.
Well,
here.
something has to happen and something has to give. Colorado had a good season last season. They make the playoffs, and they do it with one line.
They had a super line, yeah.
Yep. And that really is going to be the same thing for Edmonton. So I think there's a couple different layers to this. And maybe you guys can give me your thoughts or feedback on my opinion here, because it's not, I think it's a pretty good, I think it's an awesome opinion.
I'm going to reserve judgment.
Is that, for the most part, it doesn't matter if your bottom 6 is scoring, because last time I checked, there's still only 60 minutes in a hockey game. And if one line is producing and getting all the goals and they're on the ice for 20 to 25 minutes a night, which is what is typical right now for this Oilers team, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you're winning hockey games and only one line is scoring, it doesn't matter. When it does matter is those nights when those guys are getting shut down, or a game like they had against Florida where you have Barkov and a good defensive forward line, or a good defensive team that pushes them to the outside and doesn't give them that top line as much space. Then you need guys to find ways to chip in. But as a whole, I kind of go what? I think it's an issue, but I don't think it's as big of an issue as a lot of people make it out to be. Because it's now the second line, I think, is a bigger issue than the bottom 6. Though that group in Edmonton not scoring, the second line, those guys need to score 5-on-5. Your bottom 6, I don't think have to. It's your first line is going to do a majority of the production. Draisaitl and McDavid, those guys are ridiculous.
If they get you 2 goals a game, then you only need one more.
You only need one more, right? And that's exactly it. It's what? Well, now those guys get let's call it 1.75 to 2 goals a game. Let's call it 1.75 goals a game.
Yeah.
Those guys, it's well, now you have really another goal, at least a game, one. And if you can get 0.5 goals or 0.75 goals a game from your second line, that you know what, you're not going to all of a sudden be scoring 6 goals a night as a team, because now your bottom 6 is lighting it up. It just, to me, it's a little unrealistic to expect that. So it's they need to do more in some of those games when that top line isn't going. They got to find a way to get it done. But I don't think that bottom 6 not scoring is as big of an issue. I think it's more they just have to make sure that they're not getting scored on.
Yeah, and they've done a pretty decent job of that so far. It's not like one of those lines has been caved hard by the opposition. Belle, where do you come out on 0 support scoring?
Yeah, I agree, but I kind of disagree. Just in the fact that like you've hoped that that bottom six is going to score at least 1 or 2 in the past 12 games.
Yeah.
Like just get something so one of those guys can get to a little bit of confidence and then they can get the ball rolling. Like if you have those guys that can be a threat, you know, sometimes, not every day, because that's not realistic, like you said, Cass, but you know, they have to put something on the board. You have to be able to count on at some point Jujar is going to do something scoring wise. You got to count on Chason at some point. I mean, even with that aspect, like Chason, like, is he a better fit on the fourth line? Or is that second
I don't
line?
think he's a great fit with Nugent Hopkins and Neal,
like,
to be honest.
is
seem to
that
be thus
second
far,
line
yeah.
better? Was it the best when they had Nygaard on that line? Because he could skate.
They had him there. He played about 15 minutes with those guys too far, and then Yurcho got 2 or 3 games
Yeah,
as
and
well.
I mean, you know, and I'm not going to sit here and criticize Dave Tippett's moves because he's obviously in the NHL and I'm not. But you know, I look at Yurko and I look at Nygaard and I'm saying, okay, well, both of these guys have skill. They have some speed. Can they help? You know, get those other guys producing at 5-on-5, right? Obviously, Neal, we're talking about him scoring 10 goals, and that's great. But you know, Nuge needs to get on the board 5-on-5. What can you do to kind of get a spark into those guys?
Yeah, and Chason's more of a kind of a one-shot scorer.
Yeah.
Get him in a spot. Here you go. Snipe
Which
it
is
home.
the exact same thing as Neal.
Yeah,
So
that's
like
a very
having
good point.
both
Yeah.
of those guys on the same line, like you're okay. Well, who's supposed to dish to who? Because you've got it's one-shot score on both sides.
Yeah, it's not ideal. So we'll see what happens there, but that was something that we wanted to discuss today as well. We'll play Keep It or Clip It here in a second. I've got some of the podcast. First of all,
comments.
we've got 68 ratings so far. We're 5 out of
pretty good.
5. We've got...
Keep rating people.
I'm looking
Subscribe,
here. We've
rate.
got 1 4-star rating, and then all
What a
the rest
jerk.
are 5s.
What a
Wow,
jerk.
4
Yeah,
star?
so
Who
Shawn,
gave us 4 stars?
Shawn Belle gave us 4 stars, I think.
I think so.
Some of the comments, though. Let's hit some of these comments. We'll read your comments. So if you are listening or downloading the podcast, whether you're here in Edmonton, hopefully we have more people listening across the country. Let's see here. This one's titled, An Hour Well Worth Wasting. Great hearing stories and opinions of guys that have been there and the fanboy that keeps the show moving just along. Great. So that's my job, right?
It's a good job. You do a good job being fanboy.
This one comes in from MC Cakes, so like Mick Cakes. It says, Matt is the coolest.
Yeah.
Was that you?
That was me.
You didn't even like try to. I looked over at him and his father, he just had this shit-eating grin. He's just like, yeah, that was me. That was great. This one is in from Finn Yap. It says, great chemistry between the three. Good insight into the league. Gager's stories are the best. Do you think Gager listens to this? Do you think he streams in Mexico? Why not? He's in Mexico.
He probably
want a
is.
podcast?
He probably expects that we're going to talk about him, so he's going to.
That's probably true as well. This one says, laughing hard. I listen to these guys and laugh out loud. Stories are funny. Conversation's great. Keep it up. This one's titled Gage Rocks, and it comes in from Gager 4121. So, I mean, it might be Gage. Great podcast. Really funny. Well done, boys. And then this one says Gage Rules, and it says it's from Gage's cousin. And show should be named Two Pylons and Gage. Which is kind of fit the bill. I'm definitely a pylon, so yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, if you've been listening to the podcast, feel free to rate it and leave a comment, and we'll read them at some point. But we do appreciate everybody who's been downloading or streaming. It's been fun so far, and we will continue. Let's go Sport Clip Haircuts. Keep it or clip it. Few hockey questions, few non-hockey questions here. You guys remember how we do it. Let's start with this one. Ryan Nugent, and I love Ryan Nugent Hopkins, so it hurt me just to write this question down, but I'm going to ask it. Ryan Nugent Hopkins can't drive his own line. Keep it or clip it. The suspense is palpable. I think that's the same.
Do we have any more cupcakes so I can take a bite? And give you a minute
Well,
to
I
think?
finished mine.
Need a
Sorry,
minute to
man.
think.
What do you think?
I
I don't think this means he's a bad player, but can he be the driving force on his own line?
I'm gonna say keep it because I think he needs a complementary player. So I mean,
Which is the way to look at it, right?
Which is the way to look at
yeah.
it. Like he's a really good player, but like with Connor McDavid, you put 2 guys on his line, and it doesn't matter who they are; they instantly get a heck of a lot better and more dangerous because he's on the ice. And I don't necessarily feel that way about Ryan Nugent Hopkins. Like he's not just going to drive and push everyone that much farther. I think you need complementary players with him. So I don't think he can drive a line completely by himself, like if he doesn't have support. He is a really good player. And I think he's a good two-way player, and I think he's a good centerman. And last season, he had a great year for the Edmonton Oilers, and he's a big, big part of this team. Not someone you want to throw away. but I think he needs complementary guys to help him drive a line.
Bell, where are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to keep that as well.
Yeah.
Cass had some pretty good points.
He did have some good points.
Yeah.
But that comes back around. So, like, they need more scoring. We sit here and I think it's unanimous that we think Nuge can't be that guy in his own line that makes him significantly better. Can Draisaitl be that guy? Could you put Draisaitl on the line and say, you're going to make our second line better? Nuge, go play with McDavid.
But then you break up.
I know.
Like you can't break those two guys out.
You remember the first game of the year, what the lines were? It was Draisaitl, Nuge, and Neil.
It took 2 periods.
It took 2 periods. But, like, could that be a line that could do something? Because if you have, that argument that you just said,
Kassian, McDavid, and Nygaard. And
right? That's
But
the argument you just had, though, was that
Exactly.
McDavid could have anybody. So if that's the case.
He could. But he has a Draisaitl, and then it goes from being like a McDavid making those guys better, getting some more offense out of them, to like you have McDavid and Draisaitl together, and they just disagreeing
with you at all in any way, shape, or form.
We completely agree. I agree as well. But
there's
a but, though.
there's not a but. There's
but I
not
think there is
a
a but. I
but.
think there
You
is a
would
but.
break up the two guys that
Their second line center hasn't scored 5-on-5 this year.
right. So
But
how many points does McDavid have?
McDavid has a ton. Draisaitl has more. So
Yeah,
can Draisaitl do that on his own line, make those
So
players better?
how
and Nuge
so
go out and play with-
why you have two guys that are driving? So how many points per game are those two responsible for? Or goals? Let's just call it goals per game.
At this point, can I say all of them?
All of the goals. All of the goals. So you're telling me you want to take the two that generate all of your goals?
We don't want to do that.
No, but you're going to do it. You guys are crazy.
Hey, guess
We don't
what?
want to do that, though,
guys are
Cass. We're
crazy.
saying we agree with you the fact that McDavid and Draisaitl, you don't want to split them up. But the discussion point is the fact that can you put Nuge with Draisaitl, have them produce as a second line? To your point, have McDavid take Nygaard, for example, or Yurko, for example, with Kassian, and then all of a sudden they can start to add to the equation. Could that happen?
Equation? Are we going to go math here?
Could that happen?
Can we go math here?
You were trying to use the
Okay.
big words earlier.
Yeah, no. I was saying we can go. Let's go math. If we want to talk about so how many points you lose? How many points per game moving Draisaitl down to the second line?
Yeah, but if he can do
you
it
have
on
to
his
make
own, then
you have to
maybe
make
many.
more. You have
Do
to
you
make
lose
up
those points?
more than that. You have
If
to make
you're
up
the
more
opposing-
than that for it to be worth it.
If you're the opposing team and you say you've got your top 3 defensemen, okay? So your top pairing, who do you put them against?
Well, you're putting him against the top line.
Okay, against McDavid, right?
Yep.
So then all of a sudden now you've got Nuge, Neil, and Draisaitl against one defenseman. Do you think they could make up potentially points?
I'd like to see it.
Potentially.
Potentially.
But has it happened in the past? No. And further to that, you have the teams putting their top guys against those guys, and then they go out and they roll anyways. Like
That's true. We're not disagreeing with you.
you got
big boy.
you got the best player in the world, player A, 1A in the. Like it's just
You're
doesn't
getting
make sense
very
to me.
fired up. And we're like,
It makes me.
Like,
you're
I
right, but
I'm just
we're
like,
there.
I just don't understand. I
know.
don't understand why.
I just
Like it's like, well, he needs to drive his own. No, he doesn't, because they produce a crap ton of points.
I
And
don't
goals,
think he
like,
needs to drive his own line. I'm just
you know what
asking
you
a
need?
question.
You know what you need?
just
You
think-
need Taylor. You need Taylor.
don't even go there.
You need
and also-
Yamamoto to come up.
And also, I don't
There you go.
appreciate you
There's
calling
Clemo.
me names like crazy.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry. You know what? I am sorry for calling you crazy. I apologize that I hurt your feelings by doing
You know
that.
what? It's your birthday. I'm going to let it slide.
Thank you.
You just took a big step, Cass.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a real apology. I wasn't apologizing for your feelings. I was just
Thought you were going to come across the table. All right, the Canucks skate jersey is by far the best one in franchise history. Keep it or clip it.
Keep it.
keep it. I love that jersey.
great jersey,
It's a
isn't it?
Like,
jersey.
why don't they bring that back?
I would have it full time.
It's awesome.
I love that
it.
jersey.
Whoever it is, just sober up and make the decision.
Yes, Kirk McLean did not make a sweet 2-pad stack in one of the other jerseys. Like, come on. All right, ice cream cake is delicious. Keep it or clip it.
It's my birthday, so I'm going to say keep it.
That's why I asked the
Yeah,
question.
keep it, man. I'm way more. Like I'm not a huge cake guy. Cupcakes I like pretty good.
You're just saying that
I'm not
because
a
I
big
brought some.
I'm not a big cake guy. Like just big cakes. Unless they're like pretty dense. I'm not like
Okay.
I like really light fluffy cakes. Like I just don't really. I'm eating air. It doesn't make sense to me.
Really? Lots of people love light fluffy
Yeah, I know
cakes.
lots of people do. I don't. But I like ice cream cake.
Bill?
Indifferent.
What?
Yeah.
You don't have an opinion one way or the other on ice cream cake?
No, not on ice cream cakes.
I like half of the ice cream cake. I don't like the chocolate crunch part. It's no good. All right, the NHL should only have one Winter or Heritage Classic every 3 years. Keep it or clip it.
We talked about this a little bit already. I'm going to clip it and say 1 a year.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought 3 years might make it really kind of exciting. But Tyson Barrie with 4 points in 13 games is not a good fit with the Leafs. Keep it or clip it.
I think he's just, I'm going to clip it. I think he is a good fit because he's that offensive defenseman that they need because you got Muzzin, who's a little bit more stay at home. He just hasn't fit in yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's still that chemistry. He's been in Colorado for so long. You go to a new team, like they have completely different systems, different accountabilities that they have to take in with Babcock. So I think he's going to be fine. And this is just kind of one of those ironing out processes.
Cass?
I'm gonna clip it. I don't
thought you were gonna keep it.
Yeah, I had to it's still too early to say he's not a good fit for him.
I wonder if it's different for him because Morgan Riley's the guy.
Yeah.
Like in Colorado, he was the guy, right? I wonder if there's an adjustment to the way he has to play.
Probably a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that would be right. Jonathan Drouin, this is an interesting one because there was a lot of rumors that Montreal was going to try to move him, but he's had a pretty good start. So Jonathan Drouin should be a big part of the Habs' future. Keep it or clip it.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it.
You think it's important?
I think it's important. I understand where there's been some frustration with him at times, but he is a guy that is skilled, that can provide offense. And if we're looking back the last number of years in Montreal, what have they lacked? It is offensive producing forward. So I would be hesitant to not let him be a part of that.
Big part of the future? I don't think so.
No, you're gonna clip it?
Part of the future, yes. I think they've got a lot of young guys coming in that are probably end up overtaking him. Suzuki, he's going to be a really good player.
He's going
to be really good. And that's basically your number one center, I think, for the future.
Yeah, they've got Kotkaniemi there too, who's a good young player.
So he'll be part of the future, but is he going to be a massive part of it? I don't think so.
Side note: is it important to have one of your top end guys be a French guy in Montreal? Like, it's important to keep him around to play that role.
It's important for the city.
Yeah. Not necessarily for the team, but for the city.
I mean, it's not. I mean, you could make an argument. I mean, what are you going to say? Like, well, it's important to have a top European guy or Finnish guy or Canadian guy or American guy. Like, it's.
Hey, look, on the Oilers, I want a top Albertan guy. That's just what
we
you
need.
want, right?
Vancouver.
A guy who grew up on a farm.
Yeah, Vancouver. We need a
West Coast guy.
West Coast.
Yeah.
Very liberal person.
No politics on the podcast, guys. All right, here's one. Belle, you're not going to be with us on Thursday. So I don't know if your answer really matters here, but I would like you to chime in on it. We should wear costumes for the podcast on Thursday because it's Halloween. Keep it or clip it.
Keep it. I want to see what Cass is going to wear.
Cass, what do you think?
Keep it.
No! Do you have a costume to wear?
I
got a few.
I know. You see, here's the thing: is I have a meeting in the morning.
You just
and I'm supposed to the branches weren't like everyone's supposed to wear them. I'm supposed to wear them to work.
Yeah.
Although I won't because I have a meeting in the morning, so I'm not going to wear it in the meeting.
Cass. Tight and bright.
I just had a great idea. Maybe you guys give me your feedback. I'm going to see if I can find like a Toronto Maple Leafs Austin Matthews jersey, and then I'm just going to pull on a pair of tighty whities over top of my pants, and I'm going to go as Austin Matthews.
Oh, that'd be okay.
You think that's good?
Do you really want to be seen wearing a Leafs jersey on this same podcast as a former member of the Ottawa Senators?
Is wearing tighty whities?
Yeah, that's true. You're right. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad
idea at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. Maybe we'll go costumes on Thursday. All right, final one. The Jets should trade Nick Ehlers for a defenseman. Keep it or clip it.
I think they should keep it.
I like him though.
Yeah, I really like him too. In a perfect world, you don't have to. If Bufflin comes back, maybe you don't have to. But if he does not come back, you got to get another top guy defenseman in there. We've talked about this before. I was talking about this. I took my dad to the game on Sunday, Edmonton against Florida. Mm-hmm. And I know we've talked about it on here a little bit. It's just how many teams have you seen win Stanley Cups without a number one defenseman that plays half or over half the game? There's
not many.
There's not many. You have to stretch. It's really hard to do. You got to have win by committee on the back end from the defensive side. So I just go, you have to try to find someone that can fill that role for you if Bufflin does not come back. So you got to trade him, which is not what you'd want to do because he's a really good player.
You get a good defenseman for him though.
Keep it.
Yeah.
Nick Ehlers, Adam Larson.
There you go.
Stir it up.
Yeah. Mix it up right there.
Stir it up right there.
Oh, I'd like to see Nick Ehlers. Do you want to fix top six scoring?
There you go.
Fix it. Scoring.
There it
He can
is.
play on the second line. Ehlers, Nuge, and Neal. Maybe that's something to look at. I'm sure that would go over pretty well in Winnipeg.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, hey,
1 for 1.
He's been traded 1 for 1 for Taylor Hall. So
Yeah, you're right. Look at the value you're getting. That's
you know
excellent.
what? I mean, we joke about that, but Larson would be huge for the Winnipeg Jets,
He
and
can
he's
play
a
23, 24 minutes tonight.
yeah, he's a really good defenseman.
Yeah, I think when he's healthy, he's good to go.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for another episode. Any suggestions for a name? I have one for the podcast, but
I was gonna something with cupcakes.
I was going to say birthday cupcakes.
Birthday cup.
Yeah, that's a good episode or name, right? Like
yeah.
episode 12, birthday cupcakes. Is Cass turns 33?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, enjoy your fun night tonight.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
gonna be fun. It'll be good.
Belly, thanks for coming in, bud.
Thanks for
And
having
you're
me.
on a road trip this weekend with
Yep.
the team you're coaching, so
Heading to Regina.
oh, that sounds like fun. Yeah, I'm
Great-
going to be in
great
Regina
time.
too.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm calling the Riders Eskimos.
You guys can hang out.
We
Yeah.
can hang out.
Yeah,
Maybe we
nice.
could do a Halloween party Saturday night.
Possibly
Yeah,
could.
that'd be great. Excellent. Looking forward to that. All right, that's going to do it for episode 12 of the Two Guys on the Goalie podcast, presented to you by Oddshark. Check them out at oddshark.com. Popeyes, Louisiana Chicken on board as well. And, of course, our friends at Sport Clips Haircuts, all our presenting sponsors. For Hernandez Salas, Matt Kassian, Shawn Belle, I'm Dustin Nielsen. We'll be back with episode 13 on Thursday.